Today, we're going to compare the light reactions and the Calvin cycle. These are the two main reactions in photosynthesis. Each of the main reactions in photosynthesis occurs in a different part of the chloroplast. The first reaction, which is the light reaction, occurs on the thylakoid membrane. The other reaction, which is the Calvin cycle, is going to occur in the stroma, outside of the thylakoid membrane. Let's start with the light reaction, which is going to require, of course, light, hence the name. So light is going to come in, and this is our energy source to power this reaction. The light reaction also requires water to supply replacement electrons for this process. The light reaction is going to produce oxygen. So this is a waste product for the plant. It is released from the chloroplast. The light reaction is also going to produce some other products that don't get released that the plant is going to continue to use. So it's going to produce ATP and NADPH. These are both energy molecules. So the energy that we converted from light is now going to be stored in ATP and NADPH, and those are going to go out into the stroma to help power the next reaction, which is the Calvin cycle. The Calvin cycle is occurring in the stroma. I like to call it the Calvin cycle. This has also been called the dark reaction, or the light independent reaction, or the Calvin-Benson cycle. The Calvin cycle is going to require carbon, and so this reactant comes in the form of CO2, which is carbon dioxide. The Calvin cycle is going to produce organic compounds. This is going to be in the form of glucose, or C6H12O6. The Calvin cycle also requires energy molecules. So these are coming from the light reaction. This is going to be ATP and NADPH. As the Calvin cycle uses these molecules, it is going to convert them back to their energy poor state, or ADP, to be converted back into ATP, or NADP. These energy molecules typically don't appear in the overall equation of photosynthesis. So remember that the overall equation for photosynthesis is light plus H2O, water, plus CO2 results in C6H12O6, that's glucose, and oxygen. And we don't see the NADPH or the ATP because they are created by the light reaction and then used by the Calvin cycle. They are recycled within the chloroplast and therefore don't show up in the overall equation. When we break the overall equation into these two reactions, we can see that the reactants light and water are going to result in the product of oxygen. And the water is converted into oxygen in the light reactions. And then we have the reactant carbon dioxide, which is going to produce the product glucose. And this is going to happen in the Calvin cycle.